My name is Dianne McHutchison, and I am the Public Relations Associate.
And when did you first come to MCC?
I came in 1971.
How did you hear about the college? Because it had only been around 8 years at that point.
I had met Fred Lowe prior to my coming here, and he hired me. And he'd been here since 1963. So he was looking to build a college. And
for what position did he hire you?
I first came in as I think I was a grant program working with Jim Tatro. We had grant programs with CRT, the Community Renewal Team in Hartford. We were doing our community outreach, and so those were my first positions. Was under grants.
And where was your office at this time?
My office was on the Middle Turnpike East. That big white house now, I believe, is an insurance agency now. But the college was that time the college was scattered all over the town. We had Hartford Road. Fred Lowe's office actually was on Keeney Street, and then we had a lot of offices on the East Middle Turnpike.
And where were most of the classes at that point?
Some of them were in the high school, some of them were on Hartford Road.
Interesting. So what was it like in the formative days of the college? I mean, you've obviously been here 40 plus years.
It was wild. It was wonderful. There really was a wonderful group of people who, many of them came from the high schools. Or they went out and they did recruit a lot of the administrators. I know Fred Raymond came from Massachusetts. And Fred Lowe himself was, I think he was the chairman of the English department at Glassboro State College. So they did a lot of recruiting outside the area as well.
So what are some of the things you remember most from, say, the early or mid-'70s?
I think I remember us being more of a community than we are now. We were a lot smaller, so that it was easier to be a community. But there was a nice community feeling, and that really did extend to when we moved to the East Campus. We got our first temporary buildings on our own land, and that was a very wonderful place to be because everybody knew everybody, and the students were all there together, and it was a very pleasant place to be. I do have a funny incident, though, because, as you know, the East Campus deteriorated after a while, and it got older and older, and they kept promising us a new campus, which did not happen until 1984 when we got the Lowe building. But every spring, and we were down in what used to be the old administration building, the continuing education division, and every spring you'd get to work one day, and the termites, you would have discovered that the termites had risen from their hole in the ground. And we thought, and I'm pretty sure it was, the mating ritual was going on. And so what we did was we called maintenance, and we all just took the day off. And the next day, everything pretty much had cleared up. But it happened once a year on a regular basis.
So it was like a termite holiday.
It was, well, a termite holiday, exactly. They were having fun, and we had fun, too, because we were able to leave campus.
Someone who was a contemporary of yours from the early 70s told about faculty and staff coming in and painting the inside of the East Campus one weekend.
That's right. That's correct. Yes, I do. That's absolutely correct. Yep. It needed to be done, and we just all got together and did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think the students were different in the 70s than 2012?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think we had probably maybe more traditional age students at the time, and they were not as diversified as they are today. Neither was the faculty or staff as diversified as they are today.
Who are some of your colleagues who really stand out in your formative years here at the college? Well,
I think obviously Jim Tatro, whom I worked for a number of years, Jack Gannon, whom I also worked with. I think I remember Mary Ann Handley, who taught history here for a number of years before she became a state senator. And I think some of the faculty members that I remember include, let's see, well, Chuck Please, obviously. I remember Chuck. because this was a very, we were a very tight-knit group. People like Bill Dowd, Leslie Brown, very tight-knit group. We knew each other pretty well. You can't forget Eleanor Coltman, but those people were all,
Obviously the college has grown dramatically. The facilities have changed dramatically. Faculty and staff have changed. Has anything been lost during these changes?
I think something has been lost, and I'm not sure that you can do anything about that. You get bigger, and you don't know as many people as well as you used to, and I think that just goes with growing and getting bigger. I think I think Jonathan Dalby did some interesting things when he was here, and one of them was he really put an emphasis on diversifying the faculty and the staff and the student body, and that has made, I think, a nice change for the college, because as he said, you walk into a classroom and you're an African American 20-year-old, and you don't see any role models, and he was pretty adamant that should change, and under him it did. So that was a good thing. That was a good change.
Okay. Tell us about some of the other positions or job responsibilities that you've had during your career.
After I got through working for they called it community services at the time. It's now the continuing education division. My last position there was the coordinator of non-credit programs, and also I did some part-time grant writing. But then I came up and I worked for the academic affairs division for a year or two under Carol Eaton, and then I went into development, and now I'm in marketing and public relations, which is underneath development, institutional development. So I've had quite a few different assignments, which has been wonderful, because you really get to know a whole range of people and get to do different things, and I've really enjoyed the experience.
And when you look back on your tenure here, are there any particularly funny moments or anecdotes that you can recall?
Well, I remember, of course, the termite incidents, which were very funny to us. Some of the ones I can't talk about. I wouldn't talk about it as I'm being taped. But there is one a couple of years ago. We had a donor, Cleon Moses, who was a Manchester police man, and he established a really nice scholarship in honor of his grandmother, who was murdered in Jamaica. And he called me up one day, and I was working in development. And he called me up one day and said, "I've got some more money for my scholarship program. Can I drive by and just give you the money? I can't come in. I don't have time to come in, but could you go out and meet me?" So I went out and met him, and his car was parked on the sidewalk. His police cruiser was parked on the sidewalk. His radio was going, and we talked for a few minutes, and then he got a call, and he said, "I've got to go." He turned his lights on, backed down the sidewalk, and took off. And I didn't think much of it. I know Cleon was a very busy man, so I went back into my office, and my phone started to ring. People thought that I had done something horrible. And it was just so funny. And I have 4 or 5 phone calls that afternoon just saying, "Diane, are you okay? Are you going to get arrested?" Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Your name comes up as associated with the Brazilian studies. Is that fair or unfair?
That's something that Fred Lowe did start.
Yeah.
I had been in the Peace Corps in Brazil, and he wanted to start a Brazilian studies program. We really didn't do a good job in market research, or we probably wouldn't have done it because there really wasn't a need or demand for it. And UConn already had Latin American history courses, and they taught Portuguese.
Yeah.
But we did it. We hired somebody who was Eric Gordon. Remember Eric Gordon? And he was a wonderful character. He was just fantastic. And he had majored in Brazilian studies and Portuguese. I remember where he went to school, but he was very, very knowledgeable and great. He had a little trouble working for a bureaucracy, I think. It was a little hard on him.
Oh, you're such a clown. Sorry.
But that was another funny incident where he showed up at graduation and he was protesting, I believe, the dean of students at the time, and he was
Cody?
Yes, Dean Godey, and he was protesting something. And Godey, I think, did he throw him out of the graduation ceremony, or he tried to? Because Eric came dressed as a clown. Yeah, yeah.
And he was faculty or staff?
He was faculty.
And he came to graduation not in the academic robe, but
No,
as a
he had no
clown.
academic garb on, though.
And did he get to sit?
Bozo the clown.
Did he get to sit, or he was?
I think Chuck remembered that he was taken out of the line.
Oh, yeah, he was dragged
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And did he come back next year?
I believe that was the end of his career at Manchester Community College.
So it wasn't like granted tenure and.
No. He was only here for a couple of years.
But were you involved in any of the planning of the development?
I was, yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah, I was involved in the planning, and planning for it and development for it. But as I said, if we had done a better market research, probably would have shown that there really wasn't a need in Manchester, Connecticut to establish a Brazilian studies program. But Fred, I took Fred Lowe to Brazil with me one time. He wanted to go on a trip, and he wanted to see Brazil. And so he and I went down and spent a couple weeks there. So, but, when we got back from Brazil, we had been gone probably 3 or 4 weeks, and got back, and within 2 weeks he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And I was so upset because I thought, oh my God, here I took this very nice gentleman to Brazil, and I killed him. I really did think I killed him. I went over to see Nancy Lowe, and she assured me that this was a build-up to some of Fred's very bad habits, and that it really wasn't my fault. But I felt horrible about that. But he did recover, and
But it was a compliment to him because he would experiment and
yes.
all sorts of projects.
Yep,
and
exactly.
That was one, didn't work, but
Yeah.
he would go to
He
another.
would go to another one. He really was that kind of a guy. I had a lot of, I have a lot of respect for him, and he started this place on a shoestring. He was first the dean, and then he became the president a couple of years later. He wasn't even the president when they hired him. He gave up a very good position at Glassboro State College to come here really as an experiment, because it was the whole community college system in Connecticut at the time was very fledgling, and so you have to give him a lot of credit. And he had a lot of vision, and he was a great guy. He really was. Another president that I really liked, and you did too, Chuck, was Bill Vincent. Funny guy, an intellectual. He was nice to be around. I really had a lot of respect for him too. So there have been some, we've had some really interesting presidents, but they're good. They were good. Yeah, probably helped shape the college the way it is today. I think many of them.
Anything else that you'd like to add to the mix?
I think that we're going in a different direction nowadays. I think Gina has a vision. It's a different vision than other presidents have had. I think she'd like to have the college more on a national scene, more prominent nationally. She certainly has a vision for us more involved with downtown Manchester, and it'll be interesting to see what her legacy is going to be. If these work out well, that would be great. Oh, the other thing she wanted to do, of course, which we have not done before as an institution, although a lot of other colleges have, is she wants to do a capital campaign, and that's a big undertaking for a community college. Other colleges have done it. Housatonic just completed one, but so we'll see what her legacy is and how this all turns out for her. I just wanted to mention another thing too. I probably served on every governance committee and contract committee that there is. My favorite one is the promotion committee, because you really get to reward your fellow staff and faculty for the good deeds that they have done. So that is something I wanted to mention. I think, let me just refer to my notes, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the Women's Caucus, because I've been involved with the Women's Caucus since it formed. It really is Mary Ann Handley again. That's why I have such respect for her, who have been here for a while and realized that it was especially the women staff members who were probably not as comfortable in their positions, certainly in their offices, as they could be. And she was worried about air quality, sick building syndrome, which don't hear about so much anymore, because they really have fixed that problem. The lighting, the seating arrangements, the desk chairs, and things like that. And so she wanted to do something about that. She felt that we needed a daycare center also. And so we started the Women's Caucus, and I've really been involved with it, since its inception, probably in the mid to late 70s. And once we got some of those major issues resolved, which we were able to do, we turned it into a social organization now. But I just wanted to say, never underestimate the power of women at MCC, because if we ever need to be an advocate for a cause, I mean, we're there. and strong.
Of the Women's Center?
I wasn't really, no, although that's something that Marianne also felt that we needed, and we were able to get well established and actually hire a part-time director to work at the Women's Center, which was wonderful. We don't have that anymore, unfortunately, but the space was needed for some other program. But anyway, but Marianne deserves a lot of credit for establishing, that kind of organization, and it's going on today thanks to Bobby Fox. It'll continue to go here at Manchester. It's pretty strong. I do want to say that when you go out into the community and people say, well, where do you work? What do you do? And you tell them you're from Manchester Community College. I've gotten always very positive responses from people saying that they attended here, or somebody they knew attended, they had a good experience. And it's so nice to get that positive feedback from people in the community. And people are also, even today, even though we haven't had a new building in, 6 or 7 years, people who have never been to the campus before, they come and they look at our physical plant, and they are very, very impressed with it. Not only with the outside appearance, but you go in and things are clean, and things look nice, and so it's always good to get that kind of positive feedback from people. Let's see. No, I think that's about it. I just wanted to say that this is a. I always admired, and your first question was, one of your first questions was, who do you remember? And they're just a whole wonderful group of talented people who have gone through these doors as faculty members and as staff. And it's been just really great to meet them. And some of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life still work here. And it's just wonderful. It's been a great experience.